In the previous video, I have shared a lot of methods to evaluate a supplier's background, so you can check if they are reliable. Well, sometimes by using these methods, you may find several suppliers that looks quite similar, but don't know who is the best that you can place order. So in the last video, I shared 5 tips to help you compare the last few suppliers and find out the best. However, these supplier evaluation methods are still not enough for you to just go ahead to pay money to suppliers and let them start the production right away. There are still a lot of important things you need to confirm and have agreement with suppliers before you placing an order, such as how to ensure that a supplier will not leak your product and business information to ensure products can be delivered in time, and defect rate can be controlled to a low level, and also negotiate the best payment term and the best payment method for you. I will cover all these things in today's video, and I strongly recommend you to watch this video to the last minutes because today's content is so important. Welcome to watch the Import from China Guide video series. I'm Jing, the founder of JingSourcing, the leading sourcing company since 2015. I will teach you the most practical tips to import quality products from China. So make sure you got subscribed. When you decide to place order, the first thing is to ask supplier to send you a PI, the Proforma Invoice. It's a preliminary bill that describes all the product and pricing information. And usually it also works as a sales contract, since most Chinese suppliers don't have a specific sales contract that you need to sign. So when you get the PI, you should check if it includes all these important information, such like product price, trade term, quantity, product size, weight, colors, the material used, the packaging solutions, and other things. Except for describing product information, the PI will also include supplier's bank information, payment term, the valid time of the price because of the currency exchange rate between US dollar and the Chinese yuan is always changing. If both you and the supplier don't have a specific sales contract, then just put in everything into the PI as long as it can guarantee you to receive the right product in time. After checking PI, when supplier received your deposit payment, they will help you to prepare materials and start production. And the lead time starts being counted on the day when they receive the deposit. When the production is finished, the supplier will create a commercial invoice, which is the final version of the PI, with all costs included. You pay the balance according to the amount of the invoice. Then the supplier will help you ship products. The invoice will be also used for the import-export custom purpose. So make sure the amount of the invoice is the same as what you paid. It's not very recommended to give the custom a lower value invoice in order to pay lower import duty because it's very risky. This is a very simple example of the process for placing an order to the supplier. Well, confirming all details in PI is the just first step. Then you should confirm other things with the supplier in the following content. The number 2 thing you need to check before production is the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement. It's important if you develop own product, have your own design or own intellectual properties, because you don't expect the supplier produce your products more than you ordered and resell to other clients, or leak your product or any business information to other manufacturers. Most Chinese suppliers won't offer you an NDA, so you'd better to prepare your own NDA to let the supplier to sign. In this agreement, you can specify details like what kind of information that the supplier cannot share with others, such as price and designs. Or maybe you don't like suppliers to show your product for their marketing purpose. You can also specify if they violate the agreement, what amount of US dollars they should compensate you. If you don't have an NDA template yet, I have one for you in the description area. However, not all Chinese suppliers are willing to sign the NDA once they see there's a huge amount of compensation, because they're afraid to get into trouble. They are afraid to be considered as violating the NDA if there's other people copying the product through other ways. In this case, it's better to stop considering these suppliers. So does the NDA really work well to protect the confidentiality of your products, to prevent people from copying your product ideas? Well, signing an NDA is just to ensure the supplier won't copy your product, won't leak your information from his side. For example, if your supplier needs to find another manufacturer to make your product or just make a part of your product, they will also sign an NDA with each other. But if your product is launched on the market, it's very easy for anyone to buy your product and copy it. That's an issue that NDA cannot help. So the most effective way to protect your intellectual property is to apply for your own patent in countries you want to sell and also in China. The number 3 thing you can confirm with suppliers is the lead time and deliver time. The lead time means how long it takes after you place order until all products are finished and ready to ship. I have mentioned in the last video that the lead time is also an important factor to choose the final supplier. But you still need to double check the exact lead time with suppliers before placing order, in case they change their production schedules. You can also ask supplier to write the lead time into the Proforma Invoice. Well, sometimes you need products in urgent and you want it to be shipped before a certain day. Otherwise, the product cannot be sold out or you will lose a large amount of the profit. In this case, you need to have an agreement with your supplier or the shipping company. For example, if the delivery was delayed, the supplier should pay you a certain percentage of the order value as compensation. The main purpose of signing the on-time delivery agreement is not to get paid if there's a delay, but to push the supplier to make the products and deliver to you in time. This kind of agreement only works if you have some ways to restrict the supplier. Otherwise, you have nothing to do if they delay, because it's very hard to sue them in China, especially your order is small. If it's your old supplier, then you can tell him that you will stop future business, which is a big loss to him if he delays and also refuse to compensate you. However, if it's a new supplier, then you should negotiate to hold some of the balance payment until you get the product in time. But it's not that easy for most of you to persuade suppliers to accept this kind of payment term. And I will talk more about this in the payment term section of this video. Keep watching. The number 4 thing you can check with suppliers before placing order is your requirement on product quality or defect rate. Even though you get a good quality sample from supplier, it doesn't mean that all products from the mass production have the same quality as a sample. It's fine to have some defective products as long as the defect rate is controlled under an acceptable rate. This rate also depends on products. 5% is fine for most low-value ordinary products, but for high-value products, sometimes the rate should be 0. So if you have concerns about the quality, you should confirm with supplier about the acceptable rate for what type of defects before you placing order. If the defect rate is higher than expected, what is the following solution? You can ask suppliers to reproduce the product, then arrange the next inspection, or find someone to pick out all the defective items and let suppliers send you new products as a replacement. But you can still ask a supplier to pay for all the costs. Or you can simply just ask for a certain amount of the compensation. There are plenty of solutions, but it's better to confirm with supplier before placing the order. Otherwise, if it's a bad supplier, he will just stop communication once you require solutions for receiving defective products. The number 5 thing that you can confirm with supplier is the payment term. Most Chinese suppliers only accept US dollar payment because it's the most stable currency. So for sending US dollar to China, available methods are wire transfer, Western Union, PayPal, and letter of credit. Wire transfer, also called TT, bank transfer, that you need to either visit your bank or visit their website to arrange the payment. It takes 1 to 7 working days to arrive based on the country and the bank that is sent from. The transfer fee ranges from $20 to $50 for each payment, no matter how much amount you send. There are also some third-party wire transfer websites that you can try, such like Vin.com, TransferWise.com. Western Union is good for sending money less than 5,000 US dollars if you cannot send through your bank account, but you need to visit a Western Union agency to finish the payment. However, both wire transfer and Western Union don't have a third party to secure the transaction, so you cannot get money back if the supplier didn't ship your products or give you bad quality products. That's why you should verify if the supplier is reliable before sending the money. PayPal is an effective way to ensure the safety of the transaction. However, it costs a fee about 4%, which is a lot when the order is over than 3,000 US dollars. However, not all Chinese suppliers accept PayPal payment because they're also afraid that the buyer will scam, like applying for refund after receiving products. According to PayPal's rule, the shipping should have tracking records like FedEx. Otherwise, they cannot judge if the shipment is delivered. That means if you have to use sea freight or air freight, which doesn't have a tracking system, then most Chinese suppliers won't accept PayPal. So in this case, if the supplier is from Alibaba, then you can place order via the Alibaba Trade Assurance and let Alibaba minimize your risk. In addition, if you want to pay via your credit card, then you can either use PayPal or Alibaba Trade Assurance because wire transfer or Western Union do not accept credit card. The number 4 payment method, letter of credit, is not suitable for most of you who are new to import-export business. Well, I'd like to explain a little bit about how it works. You don't need to pay supplier directly, but your bank guarantees the supplier will receive money once the cargo is shipped or once it arrives at port. This kind of payment method solves the trust issue between buyer and seller, and it can also help buyers to reduce the cash flow pressure since he doesn't need to pay money to let the supplier to start the production immediately. The number 6 thing that you can confirm before placing order is the payment term. It's really important if you want to quickly expand the business because a better payment term can help you a lot with the cash flow. Actually, trade business works like this. Invest money on a batch of products after waiting weeks or months for the manufacturing, shipping, and selling. You got more money generated from the profit, and you still need to reinvest back to buy more products. So once your business is going on the right track, a continuous cash flow will be the key point to keep your business growing. That's why a lot of smart buyers are trying to negotiate better payment terms with suppliers. Most Chinese suppliers accept payment terms like 30% deposit to start production and 70% balance before the cargo leaves China. Manufacturing usually takes a month and sea shipping takes 30 to 40 days, so you have to pay a lot of money 1 month or 2 months in advance before you sell any products. So how does other buyers, especially those big companies, how do they always can get better payment terms from suppliers? The most common practice is 30% deposit to ask suppliers to start production and 70% balance against the bill of lading, which means you don't have to pay the balance until the cargo arrives at the port in your country. After you pay balance, supplier will send you the bill of lading and cargo can be released. If you have a very good relationship with suppliers, then you even don't need to pay any deposit to start the production, but just pay the balance against the bill of lading. So is there any payment term even better than this? Is it possible to pay money after you receive the product, even 15 or 30 days after you receive the products? Yes, this is called OA payment, which is commonly used by many big retailers. Well, you may wonder, how can a supplier ensure that the buyer will absolutely pay after they receive products? It works like this. For OA payment, suppliers will buy export insurance for each order via companies like Sinosure. If the buyer didn't pay on purpose or he bankrupt, the seller will get compensation about 80 to 90% of the order value, and this buyer will also have a bad credit. Before supplier agree on OE payment, the insurance company will inspect buyer's business background and then give the buyer a certain amount of credit. They will guarantee the seller will get paid as long as the order amount is less than the credit. So do all Chinese suppliers accept late payment terms like what I have mentioned above? Of course not. It really depends on suppliers and also the industries. If it's a very competitive industry like colored steel plates, most suppliers' profit is only about 5%. In order to win customers' order, suppliers have to offer better payment terms like 70% balance when the cargo arrives at port. If it's a very competitive industry, supplier's profit is always very low, but customers' order is always large, like at least tens of thousands US dollars each time. Then suppliers are willing to offer better payment terms to attract customers' order instead of sacrificing more profits. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I hope you can benefit a lot from it. If you have any question about today's content, let me know in the comment. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you in the next video.